4 things to tell yourself every morning to become the strongest version of you. If you don't choose how to start your morning, someone else will choose it for you. Picture this. You wake up and check your phone. You read some negative news. You see a coworker showing off on social media. Then you rush out the door feeling tired and lost. You haven't taken a deep breath. You haven't said a word to yourself, but your mind is already filled with other people's voices. And what happens next? The rest of your day becomes a chain reaction. You react to deadlines. You respond to complaints. You respond to judgment. You respond to invisible worries. You're being pulled in every direction. Instead of choosing how you want to live, you're just surviving. But Stoics live differently. They don't let the world shape them. They start the day by coming home to themselves, with clarity, with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Your mind becomes what you think about most. So be careful what you say to yourself each day." That's why you shouldn't begin your day in empty silence. You should start it with intention, simple reminders, not fake affirmations, not toxic positivity, but grounding words to help you stay true to yourself. They're like spiritual markers. They bring you back. They remind you why you're here and why you must stay grounded in a chaotic world. You can't control everything that happens today, but you can control how you walk into today. And what you tell yourself in the morning, that becomes your compass. It becomes your anchor. It becomes the root of your calm, your strength, your freedom, your discipline. In today's content, we'll walk through 4 things you must tell yourself every morning, like a modern Stoic. Nothing fancy, nothing shallow, just the real stuff, what your soul needs to stay calm, to act with power, to live aligned with who you are. Remember each one. Whisper it to yourself, or say it out loud, not to trick your mind, but to shape the person you are becoming. Thing number 1, I can't control everything, but can always control myself. Some mornings just hit hard, your phone glitches. A loved one says something that stings. Work feels like a storm that came out of nowhere, and within minutes, your whole day feels off. Those feelings will lead you all day long if you're not careful, but Stoicism offers a way out. It doesn't teach you to escape life. It teaches you to step into it with strength, presence, and clarity. Epictetus said, "You can't control what happens, but you can always control how you respond." That one idea, if practiced intensely, can change your life. Because the truth is, life is messy. You can't stop the storm, but you can learn how to stand in it. Like a driver in rush hour, he can't move traffic. He can't turn red lights green, but he can steer the wheel. And that's what makes the difference. Absolute control isn't about the outside world. It's about how you guide your inner world. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor surrounded by war, betrayal, and loss, still chose to write in his journal each morning, "If something is outside my power, I won't let it disturb my soul." He wasn't just comforting himself. He was building mental muscle, training his response, no matter how crazy the world got. So what if, tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, you pause and say, "I can't control everything, but I can always control myself." Just that sentence, repeated every day, becomes a mental shield, a calm reset button. Someone criticizes you, you don't snap, you remember. Their emotions aren't your job. Plans fall apart, you adjust, you don't collapse. Old habits kick in, you pause, breathe, and choose who you want to be, not what the moment wants you to be. That's Stoic practice. No hype, no drama, just one simple truth. You always have the power to choose how you respond. The real question isn't, what will today throw at me? It's, how will I respond and still stay grounded? Most people think control means power over others, but Stoics know real power is self-control. It's not letting emotions run you. It's not letting the world decide your mood. That strength doesn't come from muscles. It comes from the moment you pause and choose the wiser response. And you don't need to be an emperor to do it. You need to be you. Each morning, starting fresh, with this reminder, I can't control everything, but I can always control myself. Thing number 2, I'm not my emotions. I'm the one guiding them. You wake up, Nothing bad has happened, but something feels heavy. A quiet anxiety, a wave of sadness, maybe just that hollow, empty feeling. You try to shake it off. You push yourself to focus. You tell yourself, come on, be positive. But the cloud still lingers. Then your mind starts labeling you. I'm tired, I'm weak, I'm a failure. But that's not true, that's not you. That's just what you're feeling. Marcus Aurelius once said, you can stop a rough emotion from rising, but if it rises, you can still stop it with reason. That's what the Stoics understood. Emotions are visitors, not owners of your mind. You can't stop them from showing up, but you can choose how to greet them. Emotions aren't the enemy, but if you let them drive the car, you might end up somewhere you don't want to be. Think of your mind like a vehicle. Let fear drive, you'll hit the brakes before the finish line. Let anger steer, you'll crash into relationships you care about. Let insecurity sit behind the wheel, you'll keep turning around instead of moving forward. Stoics don't reject emotions. They face them, but they don't follow them. Seneca lost his fortune. He was exiled. He was forced to die. But he still wrote, I don't blame fate. I thank it for giving me a chance to grow stronger. He wasn't numb. He was trained. Trained to separate temporary emotion from true identity. He didn't let a hard day turn him into a bitter man, and neither should you. You might feel pain, but you're not the pain. You might feel anxious, but you're not the fear. You are the one standing apart, the one who can notice, understand, and choose what to do next. So here's the question. How do you avoid being controlled by emotion without ignoring it? The answer? Acceptance without attachment. Start in the morning. Before the day pulls you in, sit still for 1 minute. Check in with yourself. What emotion is present? Fear? Anger? Sadness? Name it. Feel it. But don't become it. Say to yourself, I feel sad, but I am not sadness. I notice anger, but I won't be ruled by it. I sense fear, but I can still act calmly. When you create space between you and your emotions, you gain the power to respond wisely. A daily Stoic habit, write your emotions down. Every morning before the world gets too loud, take a moment to write down how you feel. Not to complain, but to observe and transform. You can write, I feel anxious because I have a big meeting today. I feel disappointed for not meeting yesterday's goals. I'm frustrated with how someone treated me. And then follow it with, but I choose to stay calm. What can I learn from this feeling? I won't let this emotion decide how I live today. Writing gives you clarity, just like Marcus Aurelius did in his journal, Meditations. It's how you take the wheel before your emotions grab the steering wheel. Always remember this. You don't have to be cheerful all the time. You have to stay grounded. You don't have to hide your pain. You have to stop reacting unthinkingly. Stoics are not emotionless. They feel everything, but they respond with intention. And that's what you're practicing each morning. When you whisper to yourself, I'm not my emotions, I guide them. But there's a more profound truth, one that's harder to face. Most of our emotions don't come from life itself. They come from other people's expectations. You're not just angry because of what someone said, you're angry because your pride feels threatened. You're not just sad about failing, you're sad because you fear being judged as weak. You don't feel useless just because you missed a goal. You feel useless because you think others will lose respect for you. And just like that, your emotions become prisoners of other people's opinions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, your happiness doesn't depend on what others say or think, unless you allow it to. That's the root of it all. You can master your emotions, but if you still live to please others, still crave approval, still fear being judged, then sooner or later, you'll fall back into the same emotional trap. So to truly be free, you must tell yourself the third truth. Thing number 3. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I need to live by my values. We grow up in a world built on comparison. We're measured, graded, ranked, and labeled from day one. Smarter than who? Better looking than who? More successful than whom? And without even realizing it, we start living to prove something. We study hard, not for the love of learning, but to earn praise. We work like machines not because we believe in the mission, but because we're afraid of being seen as lazy or average. We dress up, post polished photos, say all the right things to keep up, to not fall behind, to not be less than anyone. But the truth is, the more you try to prove, the more drained you feel, because it's never enough. Epictetus said it best: if you live to please others, you've handed them the keys to your happiness. Proving comes from fear, not freedom. Why do we need to prove? Because we're afraid. Afraid of not being good enough. Afraid of not being loved. Afraid of being left behind. That fear often starts early, from childhood neglect, a culture obsessed with achievements, or scrolling through social media where everyone only shows their highlight reel. Living to prove is like living in a silent prison, where your warden is someone else's opinion. Seneca once wrote, "We are not enslaved because of chains, but because other people's expectations trap our minds." Proving is not living, it's performing. You walk into the world wearing masks, the perfect one, the strong one, the successful one. But when you're alone and the mask comes off, what's left? Ever felt that emptiness? You achieved the goal, but didn't feel joy. You got the praise, but still doubted your worth. That's the sign. You're not living your truth, you're just trying to prove it. Your inner values, that's what can't be taken away. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, a Stoic philosopher, he wrote, "Don't waste time worrying about what others think. What matters is living in harmony with your nature." The Stoics didn't chase applause, they didn't need admiration, because they understood your true worth doesn't live in someone else's eyes. It lives in your inner integrity. People may misunderstand you, but they can't take away your honesty. They may not recognize you, but your courage still lives inside you. They may compare you, but you don't need to win their race. You only need to be better than who you were yesterday. Live by your values, not for validation, but for peace. Ask yourself honestly, am I doing this because I believe in it? Am I choosing this to grow or to be seen? If no one noticed or praised me, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, then you're living by your values. If the answer is no, then you're trading your inner peace for temporary approval. Remember, proving yourself is a race with no finish line. Today's expectation becomes tomorrow's new standard. But when you live by your code, you don't need to win anything. Peace is the reward that comes the moment you stop pretending. Morning Stoic practice, a daily declaration of freedom. Each morning, remind yourself, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I don't live to please the world. I live to be honest with myself. I do what's right. Not to be seen, but because I know it's right. And when you live like this, something unexpected happens. People start respecting you more, not because you chase their approval, but because you don't need it. That calm, steady clarity, that's your real strength. That's your quiet magnetism. A Stoic example, Socrates and the power of integrity. Socrates, one of the greatest minds in history. He was mocked, rejected, and sentenced to death. But he remained calm. He didn't beg. He didn't explain. When asked why he didn't try to defend himself, he said, I don't live to preserve my life. I live to preserve my principles. That's silent greatness. He didn't prove he was innocent. He just lived rightly. And that right living has echoed for over 2,000 years. Let go of the need to prove, and you'll feel lighter, freer, more you. When you stop proving, you start living. You can say no without guilt. You can walk a different path, even if everyone else chooses another. You can pause without fear of being called a failure. Because now you know, you're not running away, you're coming home. Home to what you believe. Home to your rhythm. Home to the values that don't need applause. A life not meant to be understood by all, only not betrayed by yourself. Your life is not an essay to convince others. It's a living declaration where every action reflects what you believe. You don't need applause. Just the peace to sleep at night, knowing you lived with integrity. You don't need to be understood, as long as you know yourself. You don't need to keep running. You need to stand firm. Write this on your mirror each morning. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I need to live true to my values. Once you stop living to prove yourself, you'll feel a special kind of lightness. You no longer pretend to be perfect. You no longer chase validation from the crowd. And most of all, you start to enjoy your path again, quietly, steadily, without confusion. But then another question arises. If not to prove, then what are we living for? If not outward approval, what should we turn inward toward? The Stoics didn't just reject praise. They cultivated their inner world every day. They didn't chase results. They trained the mindset of sowing seeds. Seneca once wrote, "Outcomes are outside your will, but right intention and moral action, that's your choice, every day." You don't need to know what will happen today. You need to know what you're planting and the spirit in which you plant it. Thing number 4, today I will plant what is good. No matter the outcome, I will remain at peace. Your mind might rush to list everything you have to do each morning. Tasks, deadlines, expectations. That's normal, especially for people who care. But pause, take a breath, ask a different question. What do I want to plant today? Everything shifts. No more rush, no more pressure, just one free, conscious choice. Planting is not for reward, but for right living. The Stoics knew every action doesn't just shape outcomes, it shapes who you become. Help someone, you become kind. Forgive someone, you feel lighter. Stay respectful even when disrespected, you keep your dignity. To plant is to shape yourself. And the beauty is, you don't need to know when the harvest comes. You plant anyway. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "My job is to be a good person. If someone else can't see it, that's not my concern." Stoics don't live to be seen. They live to do what's right, even if no one sees, even if it doesn't go their way, because their peace comes not from outcomes, but from inner alignment. You become what you plant. Each morning, when you plant what is good, you respond with awareness, not reaction. You protect your dignity, not try to fix others. You choose gratitude over resentment. You stop trying to control results and instead focus on your response. That shift, it is what sets you free. Seneca said, "No one can take your goodness unless you stop practicing it." The world may be chaotic, people may be careless, outcomes may disappoint, but you can still plant kindness in the smallest ways. A word, a thought, a tone, a choice. And each time you do, you return to yourself. You return to peace. Plant to become, not to control. One of the biggest traps in self-growth is this, turning goodness into a strategy. You start being kind, hoping for appreciation. You work hard, expecting fast results. You stay patient, but feel disappointed when things don't go your way. But the Stoics remind us, doing the right thing is not a tactic. It's part of who you are. And once it's who you are, you no longer need outcomes to feel peace. Plant the seed, but don't stare at the sky. There's a saying from the East, plant the seed in the earth. Don't look up to beg the sky for rain. Just care for the soil, then let go. This is how a Stoic starts their day. Plant what is right, then release it. Do the good thing, then move on. Plant your true self and let time handle the rest. Morning is for planting, not for chasing. In a world of speed, comparison, and noise, a Stoic chooses to begin with depth. They don't need to do everything all at once. They don't compete. They become present. Choose what's worth planting and begin with just one thing. One kind word, one mindful breath, one silent act of integrity, one clear thought no one else will see. That's the quiet victory of someone who owns themselves. And then peace arrives. When night falls and someone asks, "Was today special?" you can smile and say, "I planted something good, and I didn't let the world take my kindness away." Success or failure, seen or unseen, you stayed true, you stayed full. You kept walking forward quietly and with depth. As Epictetus once said, "Do what's right, then let the universe handle the rest." 4 mornings, 4 profound truths. After just 4 mornings of reminding yourself of these truths, you'll notice something shift inside. The noise no longer sweeps you away. You begin to command your mind. You rise, rooted in values, not results. You don't need the world to go your way to feel okay. You don't need approval to stay motivated. You need one thing, a conscious moment each morning, facing yourself. Because when you begin with awareness, you step out of society's race. When you speak to yourself with belief, you silence the inner critic. When you surrender control, you make space to be fully alive. And when you plant what's right, you become good without needing credit. The words you tell yourself, though simple, they reshape you from within when repeated with clarity, depth, and devotion. And this is how a Stoic life truly begins. We've now walked through 4 morning declarations, not as mindless rituals, but as tools to bring your mind back home. A day, a life. It always begins with how you talk to yourself. And here are the 4 things you should remind yourself of each morning. 1. I can master this day by mastering myself. 2. I am already enough. I don't need to chase what the world tells me I lack. 3. I don't need to prove anything. I must live true to my values. 4. Today, I will plant good seeds and stay at peace, no matter the result. These aren't just lines, they are pillars, mental anchors to restore balance when the outside world spins in chaos. You can't control the world, but you can regain your inner order. A Stoic truth. The Stoics didn't believe in hollow prayers. They believed in willpower, action, and mindset. Marcus Aurelius, during the darkest years of war and rebellion, still began each morning with his private journal, meditations, not for anyone else, but to remind himself who he was. What do you say to yourself each morning? Might not change the world, but it will change how you face the world. And if you don't take control of that conversation, the world will. News, pressure, expectations, social media, fear. They will write your script if you don't. So start again. Not with complexity, but with clarity. Just 4 thoughts, repeated with awareness, with responsibility, and with quiet self-respect. You'll be amazed. A mind that's reset each morning becomes a mind that's hard to shake for life. Dear friend, if you've made it this far, you're not just chasing a temporary boost. You're searching for something more profound, a solid foundation for a life of inner freedom. The 4 morning declarations we explored today aren't motivational slogans. They're anchors to reset your mind, realign your energy, and live with the calm strength of a Stoic. And you're not alone. There are thousands of people out there quietly asking themselves, where do I begin in this chaotic, pressure-filled world? Let these quiet reminders of wisdom reach them too. Share this video with someone who needs clarity and calm. Leave a comment. Which part spoke to you the most? When you write it down, you make the belief your own. And if you believe Stoic philosophy can be a light in this noisy world, subscribe to Sovereign Stoic, where every message is crafted to strengthen your mind in the right way. Remember, you can't control everything, but you can always choose how you start your day, with peace, presence, and values no one else can define. Welcome to the path of depth, of truth, of unshakable strength. See you in the following video, Sovereign Stoic.